You just saw footage of the crumbling of the Haitian White House, uh, also known as Palais National, the National Palace. Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are exploring how Haiti has been portrayed by the mainstream media, what's missing from the narrative, and why understanding Haiti's full story matters. I remember sitting with flight reservations and my bags packed in front of the television. On the screen was breaking news: 7.0 magnitude earthquake in Haiti. Then an image appeared of the Haitian White House as if it was a signal to the international world, the collapse of a national monument. I thought to myself, the Haiti that we once knew is no more. Whew. In this video, I will focus on two significant monuments in Haitian history: Palais Sans Souci and Palais National, the National Palace. These landmarks are more than just buildings. They reflect the consciousness of the Haitian people and the state of the nation. Again, I emphasize that these represent the condition of the consciousness, consciously and subconsciously, of the people and the current state of the nation. This is the first in this new series titled White Magic and the Black Spell. When you hear about Haiti in the news, what comes to mind? Natural disasters, political turmoil, poverty. For decades, mainstream media has shaped how the world views Haiti. But how accurate is the portrayal? In 2010, after the devastating earthquake, media coverage heavily focused on destruction, poverty, and instability in Haiti. I will be playing this clip from ABC with the footage or the coverage at the time, and I just want you to hear how um, Haiti is described and some of the references that are made.
Amateur coming from the capital, Port-au-Prince, 700 miles from Miami. Dan Harris has the latest.
It is hard to imagine a country less able to.
Damage are coming from the capital, Port-au-Prince. Been a huge earthquake, magnitude 7.0, just off the coast of Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Early reports of extensive damage.
Phrases like the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere are common in media coverage. Let's continue.
Damage are coming from the capital, Port-au-Prince, 700 miles from Miami. Dan Harris has the latest.
It is hard to imagine a country less able to cope with a devastating earthquake. The 7.0 quake hit this afternoon about 10 miles west of Haiti's capital city. According to an Associated Press photographer on the ground, at least one hospital has collapsed and people are screaming for help. We reached 15-year-old Valerie Moliere by phone.
There's a lot of people in the street everywhere. Some are wounded, badly wounded.
Haiti can barely take care of its people under normal circumstances. I was there not long ago and saw how underdeveloped it is, with poorly constructed buildings that make people particularly vulnerable to a massive quake.
I'm very concerned. I think we are likely to have a humanitarian disaster on our hands here.
And tonight, things could get even worse. There is a tsunami watch in effect.
These narratives frequently overlook Haiti's long history of foreign intervention, economic exploitation, and political manipulation, key factors that have shaped its struggles. By focusing primarily on crisis narratives, media outlets risk reinforcing harmful stereotypes rather than exploring Haiti's resilience.
For a country that has experienced so much misery and is now apparently getting another big dose of it. Dan Harris, ABC News.
And
Oh. I'm looking forward to getting into this series because some of the things that I hear that bother me. So, especially when I hear a big dose of misery. At the hands of who? All of this is happening at the hands of who? All right. While these stories reflect real challenges, they rarely explore the deeper historical context. At the end of this clip is more of a need for humanitarian, what is that? Like this humanitarian, I forgot how you phrased it.
we have a statement just out from President Obama. He says his thoughts and prayers go out to those who have been affected by this earthquake. He's also directed his staff to begin preparing a humanitarian assistance package.
A humanitarian assistance package.
There has been a huge earthquake, magnitude 7.
There was a package that was put together. Wasn't there a package that was put together by Clinton and Bush where they collected, I forget how much money they collected. I guess that was part of the humanitarian package. I forget too. I think the UN or something like that sent troops. I forget from what country. I think that was a humanitarian effort as well. There's been a lot of humanitarian efforts made in Haiti, yet I don't really see too much of what sort of aid has really taken effect in Haiti. But here you go. That was just an example of the portrayal of the country. And, we'll go more as we go along.
Haiti is often misrepresented as an island of only enslaved men and women, stripped of dignity and agency. Yet this narrative erases the presence of diplomats, tradespeople, revolutionaries, and thinkers who shaped not only the Caribbean but global history. Situated along the vital transatlantic trade route, Haiti, then Saint-Domingue, was far more than a colony of bondage. It was a hub of commerce, cultural exchange, and revolutionary thought. Located just 700 miles from Florida, nestled between Cuba and Puerto Rico, Haiti was at the heart of the Caribbean trade network. This region was a crucial artery in the transatlantic system that connected Europe, Africa, and the Americas, a circuit known as the Triangle Trade. Here, goods such as sugar, tobacco, and coffee flowed outward, while human beings, ideals, and violence flowed in. Saint-Domingue was France's richest colony and one of the world's leading exporters of sugar, coffee, and indigo. This wealth was built on the labor of enslaved natives, but it also gave rise to a population of tradesmen and women, including free people of color who engaged in international commerce. Haitians traded with various nations, including North America. In fact, Haitians migrated and settled in American Midwest, in particular along the Mississippi River. One such figure, Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable, is credited as the founder of Chicago, a city whose very name may mean the Isle of the Noir. Haiti wasn't always Haiti. It was Saint-Domingue, a colony birthed by piracy, forged through treaties, and transformed by revolution. Its story defies the narratives that limit it to slavery and poverty. Haiti is the product of global struggles, intellectual exchange, and the unyielding courage of its people. From Enlightenment salons to plantations, from pirate coves to royal palaces, Haiti's journey is a mirror of human resilience. To understand Haiti is to recognize it not as a victim of history, but one of its boldest authors. Before the revolution, Haiti was Saint-Domingue, a colony shaped by piracy, European rivalry, and the Treaty of Ryswick. In 1492, Christopher Columbus claimed Hispaniola for Spain, which ruled the island for over a century. But in the early 1600s, French buccaneers began occupying the island's western part. These pirates hunted cattle, farmed tobacco, and clashed with the Spanish. Despite Spain's efforts to expel them, French settlers kept returning. Eventually, France formalized its claim. The 1697 Treaty of Ryswick, which ended the 9 Years' War between France and Spain, granted the western third of Hispaniola to France. Thus, Saint-Domingue was born, a colony destined to become the richest in the Caribbean, but at a terrible human cost. This wealth fueled France's economy while entrenching one of the most brutal systems of slavery in the world. The exploitation bred resistance, resistance that became revolution. Without the Treaty of Ryswick, there may have never been a Haiti. The Treaty of Ryswick divided the island between France and Spain. This event shaped the colony's future and laid the foundation for Haiti's revolutionary path. Historically, indigenous people used treaties to define their rights and territories, tools to protect their native lands, and ensure continued use and stewardship. These systems address challenges such as tribal land disputes, displacement, and encroachment by Euro-American settlers. In this context, Treaties became a means of asserting sovereignty among expanded Western colonial interests. What do French philosophers, American revolutionaries, and the enslaved natives of the Caribbean have in common? The answer: revolution and the shared spark of the Enlightenment. The central doctrines of the Enlightenment include individual liberty, representative government, the rule of law, and religious freedom. These values stood in contrast to the systems of absolute monarchy and the single party states, as well as the religious persecution of any faith not formally established and often tightly controlled by the state. The Age of Enlightenment was an intellectual and philosophical movement that took place in Europe from the late 17th to the 19th century. It emphasized knowledge gained through reason and experience, and it concerned itself with a wide range of political and social ideals, including natural law, liberty and progress, tolerance and fraternity, constitutional government, separation of church and state. The Haitian Revolution emerged during this transformative era, a time shaped by the ideals of liberty, reason, and equality. Like Frederick the Great of Prussia, Haiti's revolutionary leaders envisioned a nation governed by principles, not tyranny. They understood that trade was not merely about goods, it was about the movement of ideas, philosophies, and ideologies. In the 1700s, Enlightenment ideas swept through Europe, challenging monarchy, slavery, and inequality. Thinkers like Rousseau, Voltaire, and Locke championed liberty, natural rights, and the equality of man. France's 1789 Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen promised freedom and equality, but excluded the enslaved. That contradiction was not lost on the people of Saint-Domingue. Toussaint Louverture, formerly enslaved, studied Enlightenment texts and military strategies. He admired Rousseau's social contract and believed Black people were entitled to the same rights as French citizens. In 1791, the enslaved natives rose up. This was more than a rebellion. It was an Enlightenment revolution. Liberté, égalité, fraternité for all. The Haitian Revolution, inspired by Enlightenment ideals, shocked the world. It became the first successful revolt in history, forcing the world to confront its moral contradictions. While Enlightenment thinkers planted the seeds, it was the Haitian people who had the courage to make them grow. Before the Haitian Revolution, many Haitians had already tasted revolution abroad. In 1779, during the American Revolutionary War, over 500 free and enslaved men from Saint-Domingue joined the French to fight the British in Georgia. They were known as the Chasseurs Volontaires de Saint-Domingue, the volunteer hunters. Their most notable action was the siege of Savannah. Among cannon fire and bloodshed, they fought boldly, earning the admiration of American and French commanders. Among them was a young man named Henri Christophe, who would later rise to become one of Haiti's most powerful leaders. The Chasseurs were a mixed regiment, free people of color, landowners, educated elites, and enslaved men promised liberty. Their service challenged colonial notions of race and sowed the seeds of a future rebellion back home. They returned to Saint-Domingue, not as soldiers of the empire, but as revolutionaries. When the French Revolution began in 1789, its radical ideas, liberty, equality, and fraternity, resonated far beyond Europe. Free people of color in Saint-Domingue, inspired by these Enlightenment values, began to demand civil rights. Their petitions for political inclusion led to tensions with the colonists, who feared losing control. In 1791, the long simmering tensions exploded into a full-scale uprising in the northern plantations of Saint-Domingue. This revolt was the beginning of the Haitian Revolution, led by charismatic and strategic leaders like Toussaint Louverture, who quickly rose to prominence. Enslaved people across the colony seized their freedom and took up arms against plantation owners and colonial forces. As the revolution spread, the conflict in Saint-Domingue became entangled in global politics. France, embroiled in wars with Spain and Britain, saw its Caribbean colonies as vulnerable. In 1793, the French Republic faced both internal rebellion and foreign invasion in Saint-Domingue. To gain support from the population, the French abolished slavery in 1794, a revolutionary act that aligned many leaders, including Louverture, with the French cause. Louverture helped drive out the Spanish and British forces and established himself as the ruler of the colony by 1801. Under his leadership, Saint-Domingue experienced relative stability with reforms in labor, agriculture, and governance. However, Louverture's 1801 constitution, which declared the colony autonomous, though not fully independent, made him governor for life. This alarmed Napoleon Bonaparte. Determined to restore French authority and slavery, Napoleon sent a massive expedition in 1802 under his brother-in-law, General Charles Leclerc, to assert control. The French defeat in Saint-Domingue had far-reaching consequences. Napoleon Bonaparte had ambitious plans to build a North American empire, with Saint-Domingue as the central hub to support the French territories on the continent, including Louisiana. However, with the collapse of French control in the Caribbean, this strategy became untenable. In 1803, faced with mounting war costs in Europe, the loss of Saint-Domingue, and the looming threat of renewed conflict with Britain, Napoleon decided to sell the Louisiana Territory, 828,000 square miles of land, to the United States for $15 million. This deal, known as the Louisiana Purchase, doubled the size of the United States and opened vast territories for exploration, settlement, and commerce. The Haitian Revolution and the Louisiana Purchase are linked as turning points in global history. The revolution challenged the moral and economic foundations of slavery, reshaped French colonial ambitions, and enabled the rise of a continental U.S. economy. At the same time, Haiti's bold stand for freedom and sovereignty came at a cost, one that echoes in its political and economic challenges to this day. Nonetheless, its influence on commerce, revolution, and liberation remains profound and enduring. Inspired by Enlightenment ideals and European grandeur, He built the Palais Sanssouci, modeled after palaces like that of Sanssouci in Germany. Henri Christophe, one of Haiti's legendary leaders, embodied the vision of a sovereign and powerful nation. As a young man, he fought in the American Revolutionary War as a chasseur volontaire. Upon returning home, he joined the Haitian resistance, fighting alongside Toussaint, Dessalines, and Pétion. Christophe would go on to fulfill their revolutionary dream. He envisioned Haiti not merely as a free state, but as a sovereign empire, respected among nations, inspired by Enlightenment ideals and European grandeur. He built the magnificent Palais Sanssouci, modeled in the spirit of Frederick's palace in Prussia. Two palaces, two visions of power, two statements to the world. Henri Christophe's Haiti was not a broken colony. It was a Moorish republic reborn, ambitious, architectural, and sovereign, a nation that rose from bondage to build an empire of its own. Palais Sanssouci and Sanssouci Palace in Germany share same name, historical background, architectural style, and historical significance. Palais Sanssouci, Haiti's forgotten royal palace, was built in the 19th century by King Henri Christophe. This palace served as the royal residence of Haiti's first and only king. It is a symbol of Haiti's independence and strength after the successful revolution against foreign rule. The Sanssouci Palace in Germany was built in the 18th century by Frederick the Great of Prussia. This palace was intended to serve as a retreat, a palace without worries, as translated in French, designed as a personal sanctuary. Palais Sanssouci, however, could be a powerful symbol of Haitian sovereignty and resistance against colonial powers. Palais Sanssouci is also said to be designed as a political and military statement with the construction of Citadelle La Ferrière. It demonstrates Henri Christophe's ambition to establish Haiti as a strong monarchy. However, after his death, the palace fell into ruins, largely due to the earthquake in 1842. Today, Palais Sanssouci could be translated to without brows in Haitian Creole, as it stands as a bare skeleton, a structure without rules or preservation, left in majestic ruin. Once a beacon of Haitian sovereignty and resistance, now remains a symbol of the royal past, the forgotten palace. Warrior, builder, king. Henri Christophe was all of these and more. As a young man, he fought in the American Revolutionary War as part of the Chasseurs Volontaires de Saint-Domingue, a regiment of soldiers who aided the U.S. in its struggle for independence. That experience would shape him and his future. When the Haitian Revolution erupted in 1791, Christophe rose through the ranks. He became a general under Toussaint Louverture and then later under Jean-Jacques Dessalines, fighting against the French, Spanish, and British. After Haiti was declared independent in 1804, the first republic in the West Indies, the battle for power continued. Following the assassination of Dessalines in 1806, the country was split in two. The South, led by Republican Alexandre Pétion, and in the North, ruled by Henri Christophe. Pétion as the first president, and then Christophe as the first king. Christophe was a brilliant military strategist, fearless, disciplined, and ruthless when necessary. But he wasn't just a warrior, he was a visionary who believed Haitians deserved not only freedom, but dignity, nobility, and greatness. He established a royal court, enacted a constitution, and created an elaborate nobility composed of entirely of dukes, counts, and princes. To defend his kingdom from a possible French return, Christophe commissioned the construction of La Citadelle La Ferrière, a colossal mountaintop fortress that stands today as a symbol of Haitian pride, architectural genius, and engineering brilliance. Many other forts were built throughout Haiti, especially between Milo, the former capital of the north, and Port-au-Prince, the new capital of Haiti. These included Fort Jacques, Fort Alexandre, Fort Piccolo, Fort Saint Joseph, Fort Liberté, Fort Auger, and Fort Rocher, among others, part of a vast military defense network designed to protect the young nation's hard won freedom. But Christos's vision came at a high cost. His kingdom relied on forced labor under the corvée system, requiring peasants to work for the state. To many, it felt like a return to slavery. Corvée is considered to be a strict labor system, a form of mandatory service imposed on the population. This system requires peasants to work without pay on state projects, in particular construction and agriculture. While, while deeply controversial, Christophe believed this was necessary to secure Haiti's future as a strong, self reliant nation. The Corvette system was used to extensively build massive public works, including roads, schools, palaces, and especially military fortifications. Forts were constructed throughout Haiti as a means of protection and in anticipation of future military threats. These fortifications served as both strategic and symbolic purposes, showcasing Haiti's determination to defend its hard won independence. These forts not only provided physical security, but also embodied the revolutionary spirit of a nation that refused to be colonized again. In addition to defense, Christophe used forced labor to revive the plantation economy, which had collapsed after the revolution. Under state supervision, workers cultivated crops such as sugar, coffee, and cotton. Profits from these goods were reinvested into the kingdom's infrastructure and military. Though the corvée system ensured short term development and military preparedness, it also sparked resentment. Many viewed it as a betrayal of the very freedom the revolution had secured. Nonetheless, Christophe's reign left behind a legacy of ambition, discipline, and nation building, one built by the hands of a people still fighting to define their freedom. After Dessalines' assassination in 1806, Haiti split into two. Henri Christophe ruled the North as king in 1811 until 1820 as King Henri I, while the south of Haiti took a very different path, led by Alexandre Pétion, a mixed race general who became president of the Republic of Haiti. The move from Milo to Port-au-Prince. The decision to move Haiti's capital and seat of power from Milo in the north to Port-au-Prince in the south was driven by several key factors. Political unification. After King Henri Christophe's death in 1820, Haiti was reunited under President Jean Pierre Boyer. Port-au-Prince, already established as the capital in 1770 during colonial rule, was chosen to remain as the political center and the newly united nation. Economic and trade access. Located on the coast, Port-au-Prince provided greater access to international trade routes. In contrast to Milo, while defensively strategic, was too isolated to serve as the national administrative center. Colonial infrastructure. The French had already developed administrative buildings, ports, and roadways in Port-au-Prince, making it more practical for central governance. Geographic accessibility. Port-au-Prince was more accessible for national administration. By contrast, Palais Sans Souci, located deep in the northern mountains, was remote and difficult to reach. Therefore, Port-au-Prince symbolized the republic, the administrative center, and the new capital for a democratic republic. Pentonville is a town within the greater Port-au-Prince area, founded in 1831 by President Jean-Pierre Boyer. It was named in honor of Alexandre Pétion, the Haitian general and statesman later recognized as one of the country's four founding fathers. Today, Pentonville is primarily a residential and touristic district. It is home to diplomats, foreign merchants, and wealthy business people, and is known for its relative development and vibrant culture. Located in the capital region of Haiti, Pentonville is considered one of the more affluent and proud communities of the nation. Its name, a lasting tribute to the first president, Penchon's legacy. In wake of Haiti's independence, President Pichon traveled to the countryside, not to command, but to listen. He met with fellow revolutionary commanders, men who had once fought against mighty empires, and together they began to plan how to rebuild a free and independent nation. Pichon believed the land belonged to the people. He listened as farmers shared their vision of freedom, one rooted in land ownership, dignity, and lasting stability. He enacted land reforms, distributing small plots to former soldiers and farmers alike. This act laid the foundation for Haiti's agrarian republic. Pinchot's dream was of a republic rooted in equality, not empire. His legacy lived not only in his speeches, but also in the soil cultivated by a free and sovereign people. The National Palace served as Haiti's executive mansion and the center of Republican governance until 2010, when a catastrophic earthquake severely damaged it. Unlike Palais Sans Souci, which symbolized monarchical rule, the National Palace represented Haiti's transformation into a presidential republic. Two palaces, two eras. Though both the Palais Sans Souci and the National Palace served as seats of Haitian power, they reflect vastly different political eras and ideologies. Sanssouci was a fortified royal residence built by a king. It symbolized sovereignty and monarchical grandeur. The National Palace, constructed in the early 20th century, served as the official residence of the president, and was a symbol of Republican governance and a modern statehood. Their fates are tragically symbolic. Sans souci, left without brows, abandoned, and left in ruins. The National Palace, destroyed and still awaiting. Together, they represent the naivety of Haiti's political evolution and the challenges of maintaining sovereignty in the face of disaster, interference, and neglect. The collapse of the National Palace during the 2010 earthquake became a stark image of Haiti's vulnerability, not just to natural disasters, but to systemic instability, foreign interference, and internal fragmentation. Palais Sans-Souci, the former royal palace in Milo, though never rebuilt, still stands as a haunting monument to the vision of an empire. The National Palace, often called the Haitian White House, once symbolized Haiti's Republican promise, but its ruins now echo a broader national struggle. Together, these palaces are more than historical structures. They are architectural testimonies to Haiti's political journey, from monarchy to republic, from revolution to resilience. Their current states, ruined but remembered, speak volumes about the enduring fight for dignity, sovereignty, and self governance.